Mopsley Productions.
Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Totally obliterated, the 12-day war. So why are we going to war again? This is Tyler Yonke, LPR. Thanks, everybody. State of the Union and the world, and then I put tariffs in there. Are we even going to talk about tariffs? That was up at the Supreme Court. We're definitely going to talk about Iran. We're going to talk about some Candace Owens, some Bongino, little Pollard, some of the other stuff mixed in there. Hang on, people. We're back every Thursday night.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
I think Tyler is amazing.
And I'm a fan of this show. I've watched several episodes.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. You stink, Tyler.
Never promise crazy a baby.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Are either of you homosexuals?
I go both ways. What do you think?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
But I do wonder for others, in other cases, whether libertarianism today is just an excuse for many on the right to act selfishly.
Look at me. And then some fat asses in Washington started having opinions. The Olympic Committee started having opinions. You bitch, I know you. You started writing your opinions.
And it just makes me wonder, you're dead, bitch. You know, why are you doing this to this poor guy?
I don't care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is...
Did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. JC said your mic sounds a bit low. Well, I think we fixed it. I hope so. Welcome, everybody. This is Tyler Yonke. We talked about a few things we're going to do today. I hope we are going to accomplish some things. Let me put some additional lights up here. I know you want to be able to see everything that's going on inside this glorious studio. There, I think that'll help a bit. Welcome, everybody. LPR, don't forget to like, subscribe, do all the good stuff here. Tyler Yonke at Substack.com. Hope you're having a good week. We did a show earlier in the week, and now we're back doing another one. And am I going to do one tomorrow? Probably not, because I'm kind of taking the day off. JC, chime in and let me know how the mic sounds, please. Please, please, please. Okay, let's get to a few things. Did you watch the State of the Union? I did not. I saw a few little clips here and there. We're going to talk a little bit about some of that stuff. But I thought we'd first just go here to the meltdowns that are happening all over the place is, one, spectacular. We've got Bongino in here, and I don't understand. This is important with a lot of things. It's how and why people lie about certain things. We've caught Dan Bongino in multiple lies over the time, and kind of like before his stuff, and then what he's done in there now, where he's at now. I mean, nothing squares here. So he's going to take on Candace, and Candace is doing another thing about Erica Kirk, and that is somewhat problematic to me. And I'll talk about it. But let's go here. He kind of loses it here. Let's play this.
Fuck you. Go fuck yourself.
Wow.
You demonic fucking scum.
Oh. We call someone a demon. Are you wanting them to be? Do you want to kill demons? I think slay them. I think that's what you want, right? Did he?
For as much as I hate what just happened, I wish ill on no one, and everyone should restrain their emotions.
No offense, but I do wish some things on some demons, right? The Epstein type people, even some of the deep state. He's said some things about the deep state people.
From the other side, because they are not on our side. Everyone.
Who knows what side he's on anymore?
Once you go down the road of violence, there's no turning back. There's always someone stronger than you, man. Always. There's a whole lot of people stronger than me. And I'm sorry if the language distracts from you, but I can think of no other New York way to say it than fuck you, motherfuckers. You deserve to feel the little licks of the flames of hell on every inch of your body. Fuck you. If there's an afterlife, oh, and I believe there is, I believe in the second creation. I don't pretend to be the judge and jury, but I know you're not in it.
I have no clue what he's talking about there. JC, is that, he says, Mike could seem, Mike sounds the same, could be a little louder. I popped it up here. I've tried to max it out, at least inside here. Maybe I need a new mic. Maybe there's some other things, maybe some new chords. I don't know. Hopefully we'll get through it, people. Hopefully we'll get through it. I don't know what he's saying there. He's kind of losing it, and I don't know, maybe this is what you want to watch. Let's do Jeremy Boring. He's talking about Candace as well. When you allow the anger to consume your soul, the demon gets what they wanted. I believe that's true. That's true. And, you know, I mean, a lot of this stuff I've gone over here, you know, I did the bunch of Israel stuff the last few episodes, and at some point you're just like, ugh, it's a bit much. But you've got to push back. I think that's also the same kind of thing for me, what's going on, right? The preaching, it's the hypocrisy. And you know, I know people say it's the other way, and it's, I guess, whatever side you're on. But even if you're like in a church, right, then you're religious, I am. And if, let's say your pastor's up there preaching about doing, you know, purity and whatnot, and then as diddling little girls or boys, you're like, I have a problem with this. And that's an analogy I'm using for Israel, which is they are, you know, projecting out there of, you know, the Zionists, or at least, about how this state is a democracy. It's all, and you get down into it and you're just like, no, and stop. I'm not saying America is great, and well, America is great, but perfect. But, you know, at least we have, you know, we have walked through the right of return, the law of the right of return, and how they are with, you know, other citizens. We don't treat our Native Americans. We haven't always treated them well. We don't have laws. Our laws are neutral on a lot of that. You know, they have to be. And I think that's good. And what that does is, sure, you've got a problem. You've got now your nation is susceptible to being overrun by, you know, other people that come in because they're treated the same. But you know what you have? You have this melting pot, and then this melting pot turns those people into, you hope, into something else. But anyway, let's speaking of turning it into something else, Jeremy Boring went on that completely horrible trigonometry thing, and he did a little thing here about Candace Owens. And here is, first of all, key around your neck for some necklace. I don't know.
You say people tell you that they listen to Candace. I had a guy tell me recently, he said, you know, what should I say to my wife? You know, she keeps.
Who is going to Jeremy Boring for advice? Do you believe this story? That's the first thing. No, I don't believe this story.
Telling me about things that she hears Candace say, and I don't even know how to respond to them. I said, well, I would just respond by telling her fun things that you saw in some porno video that you watched. He said, whoa, what are you talking about? I said, well, the same level of shame should accompany both statements. Like, one should be ashamed to say publicly that they're watching Candace Owens now. And Candace Owens, who is at war with the widow.
Okay, just to back up on this. So, first of all, if you've watched Candace, you know, fine, watch her or not, push back against the bullshit crap. Okay, but that's been my issue with the Candace haters all along, has been like this guy, right? She got fired, and we know why. And he did that whole weird thing, live thing, you know, trying to condemn her, like when he fired her, like in front of all the employees, and she released the video. It's really weird. Okay. The fetish that they have going on with her now is like her account that they own, right? The Candace Owens like YouTube page that she had before when she was with Daily Wire, and the stuff they put out there. It's weird. Okay. The obsession that they have. You can push back against people because especially when they're becoming, this is the Nick Fuentes stuff too, right? You don't just call him a Nazi. You actually push back against his ideas, and perhaps your ideas are going to win. Or you can show, which I think I've done here multiple times, talk about women as an example. You don't just say, oh, I'm not going to listen to him. You actually go, this is why he's completely wrong about women, right? And I've said that. Now, what you're saying, Tyler, what is wrong about women? I thought he was based. No, he was saying things like, I hate it when guys say my wife is my best friend. I'm like, okay, no offense. I got my best friend. She's my wife. I'm a divorce attorney. I've been divorced. I understand the differences. I have a wonderful relationship because of that. We're a team, right? He's so stupid, right? So you can push back and you can let him talk. Let him talk about these things. And if you're going to be this guy, Jeremy Boring, and you're going to give advice to your friend about how he combats his wife when she's listening to crazy shit, like my wife listens to crazy shit too. And sometimes I'm like, oh, let me have it. I'll listen to it. Then we'll have a conversation. And then you can debunk this kind of stuff, right? It happens. But anyway, let's go back just a tad bit here, because this is really the crux of it. Let's go here.
And Candace Owens, who is at war with the widow of her purported best friend, Charlie Kirk. This is so far beyond the pale.
All right. Do you think it's a problem for Candace to go to be at war, as an example, with Jeremy Boring? Is it okay for Jeremy Boring to be at war with Candace, which I think it started on his side? Remember in the Crowder contract wars, she went on Tim Pool, defended Jeremy Boring, because she worked at Daily Wire, defended Jeremy Boring completely, right? And the reason I'm saying that is because I don't care. I don't know what Jeremy's living situation is. Let's say he's divorced. How could you go against a CEO, Jeremy Boring, when he is a struggling single father? No, maybe he's married. Maybe his mom's been killed before. I don't know. Maybe you can make up all kinds of little sad things. The point with the Erica Kirk is, if she was just wife, mom, and then, this happened to her and she wanted to drift away, fine. She's leading this multi-million-dollar organization, company, whatever. She's the head of it now. That's I'm sorry, you're free reign. You're not a widow. You don't get to climb and hide behind widow status anymore. If that's the issue you're going after is TPUSA and you're talking about them. I've been fine going after them the whole time. Now she's in charge. Okay, so her husband got killed. How do you think she got the job? You've seen this with, was it Sonny Bono gets killed and then his wife is going to take over his seat, as a congressman. There's been other, senators and congressmen that have died and their spouse is going to come in there. And it's like, are you saying you can't talk about her as a widow now because, she has policy differences? She's a mourning widow. She's also running to take over your job. That's what it is. Of course you could come after him. Let's say your favorite sports star, right? Whatever it is, basketball, football, Mahomes, okay? He gets injured and his wife's like, you know what? I'm going to take his place. You might go, oh, no, she's a grieving widow. You don't talk about this. How about you go, where are her qualifications? Why is she? She's a white girl. He's kind of a whitish, blackish guy, right? She's decent looking though. I get where you're coming at, but that's what it is. Is she even qualified to take over Mahomes' position? Probably not. Okay, let's go.
The fact that people can say with a straight face, oh, well, what do you make of what Candace said? What I make of it is that it is a kind of pornography. It is rhetorical pornography.
Listen to these two guys that have never gotten laid here. Oh, interesting.
It does the same thing that regular pornography does. It titillates, it stimulates, it's slightly naughty, it's great for getting clicks, and it makes tons of money on the internet. And you shouldn't be able to look at it if you're under 18. Or
let's go in here. I think his voice and cardio are continuing to falter as he focuses on golf instead of biking. Nah, contraire. I rode last night. I've been riding, multiple times a week. I'm mixing in running as well. Golfing is very intense right now. I think I might even have like tendonitis in my wrists. And I'm like, me? I was once a teenage boy, single father. Yeah, this left wrist is really hurting from something in golf. I think the mic level's all right now. Oh, good to hear. I had this little bit about Owen Schroyer going after Dan Bongino. I think I was going to play right after he freaked out here. Let's just go there.
So here's the problem, Dan. You were at the FBI. You and a team of your colleagues could have presented a case to the American people, a convincing case to the American people. You had ample opportunity to do so, that Tyler Robinson was a lone actor and killed Charlie Kirk. And you didn't do it. That's just a fact. Now, I don't know what knowledge Dan Bongino has that he either hasn't given the rest of the people. I don't know what other ties to this situation that Dan Bongino may have that makes him so upset at the American public that don't trust the official narrative and that have been either following other independent media reports or Candace or just looking into Erica Kirk's background and maybe they don't like what they see. So I don't know what it is that is making you so upset. The American public are not convinced, and you didn't convince them, and you had the opportunity to convince them. And what other conclusion are we supposed to reach except since you didn't convince us with the evidence, you don't have the evidence to convince us. And there's enough questions just from the day of, like 30-6 through the neck. No. Tyler Robinson halfway across the roof within seconds of the shot being fired. Tyler Robinson is able to assemble the gun and take a cold shot 1 for 1 and kill the target. George Zinn in the audience distracting law enforcement. He's there ready to go, saying he did it as a distraction. I mean, I can go on and on here, Dan.
I think I'm going to hold it right there. Now, JC has a point here. Owen kind of talks like Alex Jones. Makes me feel like they all came from the same lab. I'm sure, working on his InfoWars, as he did for a long time, Owen, that is, you have a way of talking, you learn that, right? And they probably, a lot of people have mirrored that. I'll say this, I didn't know anything about him until the trial. And then I saw the trial and I was like, it was okay. I've tended to like Owen quite a bit since then. So good for him and whatnot. My thoughts on Dan, and there was another thing I was thinking of pulling up here, but I don't have it readily available. Something about his numbers. I guess is just faltering, right? And so he's getting more and more mad, as if that's going to bring him back. The problem is when you're able to see this and you're seeing on Twitter, it's a little bit different back in like Rush Limbaugh days, as an example. We heard him on the radio, but even then, you can see, for 3 hours a day, for 5 days a week, you've got to portray, who you are. You can't hide behind it very much. And I think that was the kind of the thing for talk radio, and it's come its way for podcasters and news pundits and everything else. And Dan, had a persona, right? Which so it's some of this facade. There is some of it, right? I guess you do kind of hide behind it, which is you're able to. I've got, this is my history, and this is my education, this is my training. And I've got these people, he's in the Secret Service and he wrote a book and he's got all these plans. I've got all these, sources. Okay. And then he got put into a position of power under Kash Patel. And suddenly the mask came off because he couldn't follow or wouldn't follow through with all that bullshit he had been saying all along. So now he's lost that ring, right? He doesn't have that ring. It got thrown into Mordor or whatever. He doesn't have it. And I don't know what the hell is going on, but he melts down. And I think it's because no one cares about what he says anymore. He had a lot of power going in on the mic, right? And then he was going to come back and I'm going to get these people in line. I'm going to, these black pillars, all these names he's got. Sorry, you missed the boat. It's like, oh, my girlfriend and I, we're going to take a break. That's what he was saying to his fans. We're going to take a break. I'm going to go, we're going to be on a break. The problem is the fans, the people who was on a relationship and saw a break that he was going to do, like they're like in a relationship. You're like, oh, we're going to take a break. We're just, on a timeout. Going to cool our jets. The problem is the other person found a better spouse or relationship or a partner. And meanwhile, Dan was banging like jailhouse horrors, and everyone saw it. And you're just like, ooh, you can't come back from that, buddy. So they were grown in a lab outside of Austin. Rogan had to be brought back for repairs. I saw that Andrew Wilson's wife was on Rogan, and I'm just like, what? I'd rather have Baker, one of the CIA plants, come on there. It's like, really? You got that wispy weirdo to come in there? Okay, let's take a look here. Okay, hang on. I got a dog barking. I may have to pause for a second here. This dog continues this reckless behavior. Yeah, hang on a second. Let me put the dog out. All right, a little behind the scenes there. Dog was barking. I don't know. I got locked in the bedroom. Okay, so there we go with that. So let's go to a new item I wanted to go here to, which is this report. So you got the State of the Union. And with the State of the Union, you had, maybe it's this one. You had the people that started posting this stuff out. Is this Eric guy has it? This other person, look, Thomas Massie, I know he's been a dick about your home life. I know, I get it. Very shitty, and I wish he'd apologize for that. For God's sakes, please stop butting up with the scammer, Ro Khanna. They only care about your issues as a wedge. You are being used. And it was from a post that's now been deleted saying that Massie was going to be sitting on the Democrat side. So people started, I've defended Thomas Massie plenty, but sitting with the Democrats during the State of the Union is a complete joke. That's what this guy, it's not showing the, it's still not showing who it is. There we go. That'll work. We got another poster here of this Laura Loomer. Tucker Carlson, she's talking about him being a shill. He said President Trump was the last U.S. presidency ever to support Israel. So now what does he know about 2028 and plans ahead? It's really telling. He also said he's hoping we see a whole wave of Thomas Massie's. The same Thomas Massie who accused Trump of being a pedophile enabler. That's true. And who sat with Democrats at the State of the Union. So did he? We'll talk about that. It keeps going. Massie is sitting with Ro Khanna and the Democrats who invited one of Epstein's co-conspirators as their honored guest tonight. Literally can't make this up. So first of all, if you're sitting with Ro Khanna, I don't know if that's such a bad deal, but the right influencers are going to really jump on this. But this is also part of this person's disgust. He invited one of the Epstein co-conspirators as their honored guest. Co-conspirators? Did they invite one of the co-conspirators? I doubt. Maybe the Democrats did. Les Wexner, I think maybe he was there. To surprise of nobody. That's what Cat Turd said. And what is he posting here about? Thomas Massie is reportedly ditching the GOP side to sit with the Democrats tonight at the State of the Union. Now, none of this made sense, right? But it keeps going. Massie is literally sitting on the Democrat side of the squad. With the squad and the State of the Union. You can't make this up. He's literally a leftist socialist Democrat. News from Andrew Sullender. News, at least 2 Republicans are planning Epstein-related displays during SOTU. Khanna and Massie will sit together on the Dem side of the aisle. I mean, first of all, it's like, you don't just treat that lightly. I don't think you go sit on the Dem side. And then Massie posts this and he said, this is my view tonight at the Republican Union from the Republican side of the aisle. Oh, whoops. Maybe that's not quite what we thought here. And this person, wait, I had another one here. Dear Zionists, Representative Thomas Massie is, in fact, sitting with the Republicans, not the Democrats, during the State of the Union. Your lies and smear campaigns won't work. And there he is, Thomas Massie, right in the middle of everybody. Now, why is this important? Because it is your typical boomer, con Inc. thing. And, a lot of them were saying it's like a fact. Laura Loomer said, sat with. So she was doing it after the fact. Now, this is what's disturbing, though, is she gets pull at the White House. Right? Cat turd is still a thing. Well, yeah. Crap, probably an intruder in the house, and Tyler is too anemic to defend himself. My gun's right there. It's in a pillbox. Yeah, cat turd is still a thing. But it's fascinating. It was fascinating to see this. Only a very few of them actually pulled their tweets back down. Let's see, did I have a query about all the ones that had done it? No, we didn't have that. So, but I just, it's important because the jumping on this, and the only reason they're jumping on Massie is, you know, they try to say things about his voting record, you know, but they would have defended him before. He's been very good. It's because Trump has upset at him. And Trump has upset at him because, I mean, even my daughters were talking about the Epstein stuff last night. But my ones are really into it for the life touch photo. this part, that's all she's really interested. But they both go, oh yeah, Trump was in there. And I'm like, yeah, I don't know if he was really in, you know, too much, but not like some people, obviously. But I don't know. Maybe he's a scumbag too, possibly. First of all, you know he is. If you're just trying to talk to your wife and this is your buddy, and you're like, yeah, how many women is he like banging around, and he's got this gorgeous wife that he's, you know, supposed to be cheating on as well, like all the time. It's like, yeah, he's a total scumbag. I'm not a fan of that. Not a fan of that at all. Okay, let's go to see actually what Trump did say at State of the Union. This is the only clip I have of the SOTU. There we go. So let's take a look at this. This is 228, talking about, I think, Israel and Iran, my favorite subject.
They've killed at least, it looks like, 32,000 protesters. 32,000 protesters in their own country. They shot them and hung them. We stopped them from hanging a lot of them with the threat of serious violence. But
I'm going to have to have some trouble. Did they kill 32,000 protesters? And suddenly they have an issue with that. How many protesters were there in Gaza or the West Bank, right? That's perfectly fine. And then you go, oh, well, now we're going to do it because of the human rights violations there. And you're like, wait a second. Are you sure that's what you want to be staking your claim on? Yeah, but this is the same thing. There's no shame. There's no shame for grifters, shills on left and the right. I mean, it's an easy example because this is the side I kind of associate with. So to see like Benny Johnson as an example, this guy broke down one of these videos where he's like, oh, these leftists, something or other, out being stuck in Mexico, and that's what you get because they're liberals over there, so you're not going to rescue them, and they're all about. And one of so this guy's like Benny Johnson had a tweet with it, and he had these people that he was talking about there. And one of them followed Benny, and she's like, I'm not a liberal, I'm a conservative. And in her profile, it's like, Barbie MAGA type of thing. And then he was going after all the other, so he doesn't do anything. It's such a easy shot to just, take a shot at these people. And, Daily Wire, he's like, Jeremy Boring, it's like, entertainment. And I'm like, do you guys remember this? I played these videos where he had these commercials, right? And he was pimped out. He'll sell you chocolates, he'll sell you cigars. And it's just like, you hype every little, we're going to do razors because these ones are woke. So we're going to sell you non-woke razors. And the idea is you scare the bejesus out of these boomers or, misfit patriots or whatnot. And then they're going to just buy your shit because you're the okay one. And it's like, yeah, but are they? Okay, let's keep going.
This is some terrible people. They've already developed missiles that can threaten Europe and our bases overseas, and they're working to build missiles that will soon reach the United States of America. After Midnight Hammer, they were warned to make no future attempts to rebuild their weapons program, and in particular, nuclear weapons, yet they continue. They're starting it all over. We wiped it out, and they want to start all over again. And are at this moment, again, pursuing their sinister ambitions. We are in negotiations with them. They want to make a deal, but we haven't heard those secret words. We will never have a nuclear weapon. My preference... My preference is to solve this problem through diplomacy. But one thing is certain, I will never allow the world's #1 sponsor of terror, which they are by far, to have a nuclear weapon. Can't let that happen.
Left and right, they love that.
And no nation should ever doubt America's resolve. We have the most powerful military on earth. I rebuilt the military in my first term. We're going to continue to do so.
Wait, I just read something the other day, speaking of the military, where military guys that didn't take the shot are not getting their benefits reinstated. It's like some, thing. I was like, is that the kind of shit you were rebuilding? Now, I want data on all this. He sounds like Huckabee, right? And the Zionists, which is the most moral army compared to every army. Okay, well, what are your metrics? Well, we don't know that these numbers are made up, and I don't know the other numbers, but it's like, wait. Okay, you said 35,000 protesters were killed. Can I get some data, like some verification on this, right? Look, we're gonna play this one more time, this original intro. This was just from a few months ago.
Tonight, I can report to the world that the strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated.
Okay, completely and totally obliterated. But now they're just rebuilding it. It's just like that. They're able to just sharpen it up to the point we have to go to war now. It's going to happen. Now, so I want some data on, is that really happening? Where you're getting your data from on all this stuff? I want a little bit more proof, okay? Than you just saying that this is the case. And it's top secret. We can't. Okay. Now, I do have a question. And I saw this with the Huckabee Tucker argument. Tucker's like, what has Iran done? State sponsor of terrorism. Okay, well, let's get some numbers out there. I want to see who exactly they are sponsoring. And then where is this terrorism going? If it's not coming to me, I don't know how I necessarily care about it. There's a lot of states, there's, terrorists going on, or it's state action that's horrible to their citizens, to other nations. And, you're calling it terrorism. Okay. Infiltration. You don't think technically from that definition, it's Iran funding an organization inside a country to destabilize it. Have you ever heard of the CIA? Okay, is that considered state-sponsored terrorism? Okay.
Also, we just approved a $1 trillion budget. We have no choice. We have to be strong because hopefully we will seldom have to use this great power that we built together. It's really called peace through strength, and it's been very, very effective.
I don't know. He seemed a little doped up, like he was on some sort of scissor or something. But Ambassador Huckabee, Tucker goes, look, Iran, are they really a problem? He's like, they've been saying death to America for 47 years, okay? So they're going to do it. And it's like, okay, well, the boy who cried wolf, if you've been saying, for 47 years you're going to do something and you're not doing it, I don't know. There is an argument to be had that perhaps you're not going to do it, and it's just you spouting off stuff, right? I mean, there is something to be, you've got to say at some time, it's like, okay, shit or get off the pot. Where are we at with this? Do you mean it, right? Do you actually mean it? I mean, we're going to go through some of these other things, because I think the argument holds, because we're going to talk about some other people that have been claiming that they're at this, this high-ended military destruction machine. Has anyone done a wellness check on Miss Fat Patriot? Good question. Tyler, what are you not drinking tonight? Athletic Brewing, the Run Wild IPA. Tomorrow I will have an alcoholic beer. Almanac, it's a brewery here. 2 Coloradans were killed in Minnesota. I don't see Tim Walz going to war. Okay, that's true. Also, what are we defining as terrorism, especially compared to what Israel and U.S. and Israel do regularly? Yes, I think I just made that point there, JC, with the CIA. And so, look, it's easy because it's propaganda, and our boys, our guys love it. They love to get hyped up in the patriotic stuff, except for when Mike Huckabee slams our own military, right? And then he doesn't have any of the data to back it up. It's it's pretty weird. Okay, let's go talk about making dire predictions a reality or not. Here is Netanyahu over the years.
Iran could produce a nuclear weapon in a very short time. It could be a year, it could be within a few months.
They have the wherewithal, the stored up, preserved knowledge to make a bomb very quickly if they wanted to do it.
Iran is so dangerous. Weeks away from having the fissile material for an entire arsenal of nuclear bombs.
They're very close. They're 6 months away from being about 90% of having the enriched uranium for an atom bomb.
Iran is gearing up to produce 25 bombs, atomic bombs a year, 250 bombs in a decade.
Ladies and gentlemen, time is running out.
Iran will be capable of producing alone, without importing anything, nuclear bombs within 3 to 5 years.
Okay, so that's, you can go through that. Look, I mean, there, you know, in law, you go to court, you don't get to necessarily bring in someone's character or sometimes their behavior, unless that pattern of behavior is a systematic way of describing some things that they always do. Maybe it's a burglar that does a specific thing, okay? But it's also something we talk about in family law, which, you know, if you have a track record of, you know, let's say a wife is saying, this guy, he's an alcoholic, and he, I don't even know how to put this right, because it's kind of trying to prove a negative in a sense, which is there's an absence of behavior and an absence of following through, I guess, on anything to the point where are they actually a danger? Okay, maybe mom's been complaining for years that dad's dangerous to the kids, but they, you know, the kids are never in harm, right? They like going to dad or, you know, mom or whatever it is. And so, you know, it's like I said, the boy who cried wolf a lot. Okay, you're out there, you're doing this. Let's see what what Sam Harris had to say about this.
To blow back on us the way Iraq and Afghanistan did. I just think the majority of the people are in a different spot with their desperation to be rid of theocracy. Right, it's a much more sophisticated culture that has been oppressed for now more than a generation. You can't say that about Afghanistan, right? You can't even say that about Iraq, and Iraq was more sophisticated than Afghanistan. I do think it's a different situation. It's like, if you're going to talk about the prospect of nation building, it's probably, ironically, this is probably a good opportunity that we can't possibly take, given how badly our experience was, how bad our experience was, you know, previously. But I think it's worth assuming that the majority of the Iranian people want something like a secular democracy or something, you know, something that would be recognizably secular and democratic.
That is exactly like Iraq. Sorry, I took a last sip and I just sucked it in, went down the wrong pipe. But that is exactly Iraq. I mean, I remember the good old days, right? The Gulf War. These people all want to be liberated. They want to be liberated. Let's go liberate them. So we go in there and then it's like, oh, they have a different kind of life. They don't maybe want democracy. Whatever. It's just like, and it's what's funny is my brother-in-law, golfing with him tomorrow, he's more of this mega style, and we've had these conversations about the Iraq war. It's like, and I mean, distinctly remember him at the time. We're going to go in there and, you know, do democracy, and this is a great idea. And now we're both, I mean, he understands. He's like, yeah, that shit. You can't change hundreds and thousands of years of, you know, Bedouin type of behavior out there. They don't want your life, and then maybe they don't need it, right? We've seen this with Matt Walsh. You know, What is a Woman? He goes out to these, you know, primitive areas, or, you know, if you've seen any kind of documentary like that where you go and talk to these people, they don't necessarily want the life that we have. They're fine. They don't need it. Okay, they live in a hut or whatever. And I'm saying everything's primitive like that, but I mean, come on, you can't just. It is very similar. What you call it, Sam Harris. For some reason, this is not showing correctly. Okay, so let's. Here's some more videos. Let's go here. I don't know what this video is. This says, the U.S. demands presented to Iran in Geneva, destroy all 3 nuclear sites, Fordow, Natanz, and Isfahan, transfer all enriched uranium to the U.S., no sunset clauses. meaning restrictions would be permanent. Zero enrichment through the Tehran reactor could remain. Limited upfront sanctions relief with even more if Iran complies. Source Wall Street Journal. Okay. That wasn't the one I thought I had. Okay, let's play this little Tucker Carlson and plays a little bit of Mark Levin. You're going to get some Mark Levin style shit going on here. This is, let's actually do this on 1.25. I don't want to dwell on this too long. Okay.
Or Levin has decided to just make stuff up. And the clip you're about to hear is from his podcast, I believe, and you could check it 2 days ago. And it is grounds for dismissal from Fox News, immediate grounds for dismissal. And it's also, at the very least, grounds for like questions to him, like, what are you doing? What are you doing saying something like this? This is Mark Levin telling his listeners, such as they are, that Iran has nuclear-tipped ICBMs aimed at the United States. Watch this.
They'd slaughter 1 million of their own people if it meant retaining power. That's not a government of a country. Those are terrorists that control a country. It is a police state that's slaughtering its own people to stay in power so it can slaughter us. It believes, as the 7th century primitive barbarian.
Who's us, though? I mean, first of all, you've got to, if you watch his stuff and you read his tweets, he mixes up U.S. and Israel all the time, right? He means us being Israel, but then he tries to like, oh, I'm American. Look, he's even got an American flag back there. But we saw, and we'll play with Jonathan Pollard here a little bit later, warns, hey, Jews, you're actually, and we've seen how loyal this guy is. His son, stepson is directly under and works for Ambassador Mike Huckabee. He's the one that set up the meeting with Jonathan Pollard.
Barbarians believed that they must destroy civilization. They believe today that they must destroy the West. Most prominently, the United States of America. Those nuclear ICBMs aren't aimed for Tel Aviv or Jerusalem. They're aimed for New York and Los Angeles and Chicago and everywhere in between and around the United States of America.
Okay, so once again, he just says wild shit. People say it all the time. And then your question is, okay, where do you get this information? I know you're close to Laura Loomer and she's in the White House. Those are probably different ICBMs that she's thinking about getting shot up with. But where do you get your details here?
Enemies of civilization. If you wake up in a world where Mark Levin is publicly identified with, quote, civilization, you are an upside-down world. Civilization begins with the acknowledgement that human life is sacred, that God created each person as an individual, that identity politics is therefore wrong, and that telling the truth matters because truth is absolute. You may get it wrong, but the idea that nothing is true is a form of nihilism, and that attitude is the enemy of civilization. And yet that's exactly what you just saw. Iran does not have nuclear-tipped ICBMs. And they're not aimed at the United States. That is a lie. It is a provable lie. Now, why is he saying that? Not because he hopes to win an argument, but because he hopes to whip his listeners into such a frenzy of fear and rage that they will support something that will hurt them. This will hurt the United States almost without question if it happens. This is not good for you. It's not good for our actual allies, the energy-producing countries in the Middle East, which are our actual allies. Israel is in no sense our ally in this. And yet, Mark Levin will not, and none of these people will, address that debate. Instead, they're just lying to scare people into supporting something that will hurt them.
Absolutely. Now, I mean, it's really along the lines of what I was saying earlier about the Daily Wire and how they scare people to buy their chocolates and whatnot. But that's just the pipeline. They do that, and then the next thing you know, you're involved. And matter of fact, you've bought merch from them because they've scared you about Harry's razors or whomever. So now you're literally invested in them, and then they start dropping the bomb about the bomb. Right? That's what they do. So now you're like, well, these people wouldn't lie to me. They sold me chocolate. They sold me a razor. You cut my face every day. My razor. I have Nadeau razors, but he's not peddling war with Iran. So you do have these things, and it is this pipeline of this fear monger to get you on their side. I'll tell you this. Look. I've made this before, not here, but like talking to other people. Religion, okay? In the late 1800s, early 1900s, the big boom of religion in the U.S., Baptists, Seventh Adventists, a bunch of different churches and stuff came about in the late 1840s of Mormons. And what you had then was like 90+% of Americans believed in God of some sort. So the church at the time, and this kind of grew out of a lot of stuff, but there wasn't, saved by grace necessarily. It's more like works. And so if you got to, how do you compete with other churches? If everybody is, claiming to believe in God, well, then that's not what you're trying to convert them from non-religious. They're all religious. So let's convert them by other ways. Let's scare the bejesus out of them that our way is the only way. So there was a lot of that fire and brimstone type of stuff. Okay. A lot of real legalistic church issues came about. And you can see that with prohibition, right? That was just another liturgical and whatever different, factions were battling with each other. Some wanted it, some didn't, but it was along the line. How do you get that in the 1920s of having, no alcohol? Well, it's because this is the kind of battle that was going on. You're seeing this a lot, similar type of thing. They play off of your religious, your soul, and your kids, your patriotism, to try to get you to do this. But is this in the best interests of your country? That's the whole thing. This guy is acting like the Iron Sheik is still alive and well. He is not saying that they will get a bomb. He is saying 6 months away from having 90% of the materials. Yeah, well, but we destroyed them all, right? So what actually is Sham Hairless? I forget, is it Sam Harris or Jordan Peterson that has brain damage? Yes. And as Hubbleson says here, both. He's literally saying, trust us, guys. It's going to work this time. Yeah, Tucker's been so good on this stuff. Tucker has been great on a lot of things. Not always in full lockstep with Tucker, but I think what Tucker would allow you to do, because we've seen this with himself, first of all, he's jumped up there. He's decided to just be the spear because he gets shit. I mean, think about this. He goes to Israel, talks to Huckabee there and obliterates him after the Ted Cruz, and it's huge. And he's just taking the spears. He's taking it for all of us. Okay. He really is. And he got so much hate out of this. He's probably getting death threats, because I can't imagine that, there's certain factions that would want him to stay alive after that. Okay, let's play this little clip here. I don't even know what's going on with this one. This was back in 2012. This is an Army, some sort of soldier for the U.S. Army. He's for veterans for Ron Paul. He actually at some point went and made some speeches for Ron Paul, but let's listen to this.
Somebody who actually did just go vote for Ron Paul, a first-time caucus voter, Corporal Jesse Thorson, who is 28 years old, and you are active duty U.S. Army. Why did you vote for Ron Paul?
Well, I'm really excited about a lot of his ideas, especially when it comes to bringing the soldiers home. I've been serving for 10 years now, and all 10 years of those have been during wartime. I'd like to see a little peacetime Army, and I think he has the right idea.
Now, you have done 2 tours in Afghanistan. You told me you're going to go back for a third tour. I mean, if you can see your neck right there, what you have on your tattoo, 9/11, remember, and a picture of the Twin Towers. Some Republicans out there have been saying that Ron Paul would be very dangerous.
Remember, 9/11, Twin Towers, that got a lot of people worked up, just like we saw, Mark Levin talking about, and exactly what I'm talking about. Is this guy going to go down that same route?
For this country, because he wants to bring troops like you back from your post from all over the world.
Well, I think it would be even more dangerous to start nitpicking wars with other countries. Someone like Iran, Israel is more than capable of.
All right, we just lost our connection, unfortunately.
Interesting. Now, later on in this clip, they show a video of this guy it's buffering now, doing a speech for Ron Paul. But I'm watching that, I'm like, literally the time he's saying Iran, Israel, crazy, kind of crazy at that. I don't know if that was intentional, if that was CNN. Let's go. Okay, so let's go on to, I want to play this because evidently toilets are backing up on a ship that's deployed out there in the Middle East. Let's see what they say.
From my sources in the Navy, that sailors actually took undershirts and stuffed them into the toilets to cause them to back up.
What?
I know that the crew's very, very unhappy with being at sea now for 10 months? And before this is over, it will have been a year. They went to Suda Bay. I think they tried to address some of this. And now they've pulled out of Suda Bay after 48 hours or a little more than that to repair things. But you're talking about something else that's hugely important. I don't want to go into great detail, but logistics in the region is very problematic right now. Places we formerly were able to utilize, we can't because of the Huckabee interview, frankly. That particular revelation has turned almost everybody against us in the region. So the Navy is now looking as far away as India and ports there that they can go to as required.
That, and you know, I don't know if there was enough really thought about at the time of Huckabee. If you're not aware, he basically said, because he was pushed by Tucker, he first defines that the right to be of Israel to exist was biblical. Well, then Tucker's like, okay, if we're going to go down that route, it's not these borders that the Bible says. It's a bunch more. It includes a bunch more countries, and should they have that? And Huckabee's like, yeah. Now, he doesn't, you know, Robbie the Fire and Dave were walking over this and like, oh, you know, and I've talked about that edit that kind of stops right there because he says more about it. He tries to explain a little more. And Robbie's like, oh, he walked it back. He actually, you know what? He didn't walk it back. He said yes, they can have it. They don't want it is how he tried to walk it back. Not wanting it isn't the same as do they have a right to it? Okay, I hold this deed, right? And that's literally what he's talking about there. He's talking about property rights coming from the Bible. Now, if you want to go down that route and that, you know, there's a property rights from the Bible, are those the actual people that deserve them? And I think that's where Tucker was saying, are these the same people? Now, you know, depending on what your interpretation of the Bible is, when you're talking about this, you know, God blesses those who bless themselves or bless Israel or whatever it is, God's chosen people. That is taken on, that's, you know, according to some, that's the church. It's not this actual Jewish identity anymore because, you know, they killed Jesus. I mean, let's be honest here. That might do away with the covenant. Tucker, this is one where he talks about Fox News taking over. I'm not going to go through that one. Here we go. So let's go to Jonathan Pollard and some things that he said recently, and then we'll be done here in a little bit. But let's just take a listen at this.
He can go ahead and lie all he wants. And the man, believe me, is as dangerous as Father Coughlin and Charles Lindbergh during the 1930s and 40s. This man is an anti-Semite, and what he's trying to do is...
Talking about Tucker.
Smear the American Jewish community collectively with the crime of one person, me. Now, if Tucker Carlson believes in collective punishment, then maybe he should be open about that, okay? But here's a guy who doesn't have any of the facts himself, relies upon individuals who have no credibility at all, and then takes money from Qatar, has a home in Qatar, and is doing the bidding of the Muslim Brotherhood. Now, if he wants to deny that, then he should open up his records, and let's see if he's been taking any money from Qatar.
So it's hard to break this down, which is, here's Pollard's, you know, I imagine his thing. I'm just going to throw shit out there, and then if he wants to prove it, you know, prove it wrong. Okay, I don't know that is he getting money from Qatar? I mean, is he so? It's fascinating. And plus, his collective punishment. We've broken down that where that's actually part of the Geneva, Fourth Geneva Convention about how you are not to, with an occupied territory, collective punishment literally is in there about, you know, you can't just go and destroy Gaza as an example because a few bad apples. So when you're talking about collective punishment, and we've heard the stuff that Pollard has said before, we've heard of what a bunch of, you know, IDF soldiers and just crazy people over there in Israel have said, which is kill them all. Kill them all. And I have some quotes for that coming up.
My sources say he is, which makes him an agent of influence. Is Tucker Carlson registered as an agent of the Qatari government? Not that I'm aware of. So Tucker Carlson is actually a criminal and should be taken to court, sentenced, and appropriately punished. When it comes to...
I'm all for going after foreign people like this guy that got caught spying and, you know, put him in jail. He should have been, you know, killed. That's fine. For treason. Now, technically, we've been over this. Technically, treason, you have to be at war with a government. I think we should, you know, go ahead and amend something like that to just stealing secrets instead of the Espionage Act. But maybe we should have death be part of the Espionage Act as well.
Slander and libel. And people have asked me why I don't take him to court on those issues. It's pointless because a serial liar, a deranged serial liar like Tucker Carlson.
It's pointless. I would be fascinated to hear that court case, right? Which is, Jonathan Pollard, you've been defamed. Now prove your damages. And you're like, well, wait, convicted spy. What are the, is your reputation supposed to be, okay at this point? What are your damages, right?
Can bob and weave and bring in any number of incredible or uncredible sources to back up what he's saying. Enough to confuse the jury, and I don't want to run the risk of losing a case to an enemy of my people like this. So the bottom line on this is, in conclusion, I was very disappointed by the Israeli government bending to President Trump's pressure to let him into the country. I was disappointed, I have to say, in Ambassador Huckabee's...
That's interesting. So, I believe he's in the Knesset, Jonathan Pollard is, Israeli government. He's actually saying that Tucker Carlson, there was all this thing, Tucker's scared of going in there. He doesn't. Evidently, he had to fight and get Trump, according to this guy. Now, everything he says is probably a lie, but he had to fight to get into, to even go, to be allowed into Israel. And then you're going to say he wasn't detained?
Answers dealing with me. But I was not surprised at all by the lies and slander that Tucker Carlson delivered at me. My people have faced enemies like him down through history, and we've outlived them all. Hopefully,
your people, criminals, spies?
We will outlive Tucker Carlson as well.
Okay, could be. So that's that crazy born guy. Let's hang on. I wanted to go to, Huckabee's on with Steve Deace. That has just got to be, I'm going to have to bookmark that and maybe do a whole segment on there, because Steve Deace is just a pathetic little, that's just disgusting. Okay, so I wanted to go back. Where is it here? Sorry. I had this all set up. There you go. Let's go to this one. So this was Jonathan Pollard. I'm not going to play 5 minutes of him saying this stuff, but in this one, he's basically said, he's implying, okay, Trump betrayed him, but he's also said at one point that he spied and it was okay because America was the ally, they were allies. So it really wasn't anything criminal. Now, what I want to say here is, this is what I put out a tweet. For those saying any criticism of Israel's destruction of Gaza means you side with Hamas, same logic means if you dislike Tucker, you're on the side of the traitor Jonathan Pollard, because you've seen that over and over and over. And matter of fact, I tried to go through here. I said, can you give a list of most prominent people saying if you don't support Israel's war in Gaza, you support Hamas? And there's Steve Scalise, Bridget Gabriel, a lot of these, Mike Huckabee, right? A lot of these, Lindsey Graham, a lot of people saying things, basically, if you're not supporting them. And it's like collective punishment that you are supporting Hamas. They called Tucker that. They called everybody those kind of things. So if you're going to use that logic, so then I start posting online about why are you siding with Jonathan Pollard with the same? Now, I'm not that type of person that necessarily wants to just combine everybody in. If you don't believe this, then the alternative is you side with this side. You can not like what Israel's doing and not be a supporter of Hamas. I firmly believe that. But they don't, at least on their side. So let's just say it. If you don't support Tucker, you are with Jonathan Pollard because he doesn't like you. That's like the opposite, right? Is to Jonathan Pollard. He's calling him out. So you're a Jonathan Pollard fan. And, we've got multiple people here falling into that stereotype, which I think is pretty much correct. Okay, this last little bit I'm going to do here. I don't even know if this is necessarily correct. This guy.
They've outlawed DNA testing. Why is that? Because it would prove that the Palestinians are of the land and that those who came there to create the so-called Jewish state do not have any blood ties to the land.
Now, these kind of arguments just don't do it for me, okay? So first of all, is that correct? Let's actually go through theirs. DNA testing is allowed in Israel. Well, kind of. It's always funny how these AI programs do. Commercial ancestry tests like 23andMe, blah, 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 are not sold domestically in Israel. However, individuals can order kits from abroad, take the test outside of Israel, and use the results for personal knowledge. For legal purposes, such as proving paternity, Jewish ancestry, for repatriation under the law of return or inheritance, DNA testing must be conducted under a court order and only in accredited Israeli laboratories. So yeah, DNA testing is at my mother and dad. Now, is there testing that's going to be done for repatriation and under the law of return, right of return? Remember, we talked about that. It has to be from your mother's lineage. So perhaps you need a DNA test to do that. Are they going to do any of the tests? This is why the laboratory, only them, and it probably just gives you a yes or no type of answer. They don't give you the results, which would show perhaps which region and what your other ancestors are. They're not going to do that. Results tests performed abroad are not accepted. The Genetic Information Law of 2000 governs these regulations, prioritizing privacy, ethical standards, and preventing misuse of genetic data. Yeah, one of the highest snooping countries, in the world. They're now concerned about your personal rights and privacy. That's amazing. In short, DNA tests are not illegal, but they're only legally valid in Israel when conducted under court supervision and in certified labs. So there you go. Once again, use these people's arguments against them, right? Understanding that it may not be the best. So, the stuff I was saying about, like that guy, the genetic stuff. Okay, I use it to mock them, right? But I don't think that's an argument, because I've seen like Steven Crowder, making these same arguments. It's like, yeah, but who cares? I'm not getting a genetic test to make sure my deed to my house is fine, right? Are you qualified to buy land, and then can you buy it and can you hold it? Okay. Oh, well, maybe you need a genetic test if you really want the apartheid state. And some of you say that's based. I get it. But just understand where we're coming back from the other side there. They're claiming to be some sort of democratic nation. And if that's the case, then, are they? All right. Thank you, everybody. Remember, go to tyleryonke.substack.com for all your needs. Hope you enjoyed tonight's show. We've got the outro coming up, and once again, go there, follow me on Twitter, and I hope you all have a very good weekend. Take care. Bye.
Okay, I'm leaving now.
But she's back.
And now.
Tyler, if you had any clout about you, if you had any knowledge of the real world,
none of us are screaming, "Let's kill Tyler."
Tyler says, "My
Jewish princess."
You low-key, you're one of the funniest dudes in the Liberty world that I know.
more or less, eat shit and die. He's just a podunk lawyer somewhere in rural California. He's an idiot, really.
Takes a tough man to make a tender forecast, Nick. And I guess that's me. Keep fucking that chicken.
Do you see what he just did to Tyler? I feel like you don't get the appreciation for your humorous wit.
What are you talking about? I didn't say that. Why don't you argue with something I said, you dumb bastard?